This week on Vice, women fight back against rape in India.
करो इतनी धुनाई करो कि पुलिस वालन का समझ में आ जाए.
Then, the horrific after effects of Soviet-era nuclear testing.
Ну, если даже любой человек уезжает, он с собой унесет, конечно, генетику.
What's your answer then to all the recent cases that have been happening against women?
So this is the epicenter of a nuclear bomb. That's what it looks like.
India's rape issue grabbed the world's attention in December 2012, when mass protests erupted in New Delhi after a 23-year-old student was savagely gang raped and beaten to death by 5 men and a teenage boy. Now, the Indian authorities claim to be addressing the issue. However, statistics have shown a sharp increase in rapes, and many experts say that even those numbers fail to capture the accurate levels of sexual assault because of factors like intimidation, the social stigma associated with rape, and the historic distrust of the local police, which keeps many victims from seeking the due process of law. So we sent Galara Kiazan to Delhi to try to see what, if any, progress is being made.
We arrived in Delhi as fireworks and sparklers lit up the night to celebrate one of the Hindu religion's biggest holidays, Diwali. But in December 2012, India's streets exploded after a very different fuse was lit. The gruesome details of the rape heard around the world sparked a public outcry as India's rape crisis became an international issue. Intense public pressure led to the adult perpetrators of the gang rape being sentenced to death.
Publicly hang them! Hang them!
Since reported rapes in India have risen 900% over the past 40 years, we spoke to New Delhi's Deputy Police Commissioner to find out what they were doing to stem the tide.
There's been a lot of reports that a lot of rape cases don't get filed.
Ours is predominantly a patriarchal society. So there has been a tendency to dissuade it, discourage it. My dear child, where would you go? You will have to go through the same harrowing process of narrating it in the court and say, this man has done this thing to me. This is a small misdemeanor, minor this thing, forget it. We'll scold him, we'll chide him, we'll maybe beat him up depending upon the kangaroo kind of justice being delivered. We need more lady officers, we need even male officers who are a little more sympathetic to the cause.
The Deputy Commissioner wanted to show us how they were addressing the rape problem.
This is a woman help desk. We have a lady officer round the clock. Any woman who comes, she has any problem, the lady officer is called to deal with that.
How many years have you been working here?
2 years.
2 years. Can I ask how old you are? Is that okay?
Age, yeah.
Is that
22.
22?
22. She's
Oh,
quite
wow.
young, yeah.
Started when you were 20. It's a tough job. No?
She
Okay.
enjoys her work.
The bus gang rape spurred India's parliament to pass a new law that expanded the definition of rape as a crime to, for the first time, include oral and rape by a foreign object, and installed harsher punishment for perpetrators. We wanted to know whether changing definitions and lengthening prison sentences is remotely enough, so we spoke with Vinder Grover, a lawyer in Delhi's High Court.
The law will become a deterrent when the law will be used. Routinely, young girl steps out of a house, she's going to the market, she's going to work in the agricultural field. 3 boys come, they pick her up, they rape her, they throw her, they walk away. They have absolute impunity and they have good reason to believe that nothing will happen to them. When a rape survivor walks into the police station, the SHO tells her, you come into that room, open your salwar and show me where you have been raped. What they don't do is, they don't investigate the case. In the court, she's going to face a lot of hostility from the lawyers. She's going to face threats and intimidation. So how is she going to take this battle individually when the entire system is structurally against her?
Reports of rape in Delhi have doubled since the bus gang rape, but sadly, Delhi might be as good as it gets in northern India, because in the rural countryside, they have even less law and order. Approximately 70% of India's population lives outside of the cities. So we took a train to Banda in rural Uttar Pradesh to see how the police treat women there.
We're now in Uttar Pradesh, which is north central of India. There's a rape every 20 minutes in this country. In a place like Uttar Pradesh, most of them don't even get reported.
The one voice out here that fights against this violence towards women is Sampat Pal. She created the Gulabi Gang, meaning the Pink Gang, made entirely of women with the aim at empowering victims to seek justice. The Pink Gang's strength in numbers prevent the women from being intimidated into silence, and in turn puts pressure on authorities to take action.
मेरा गुलाबी गैंग का मकसद यही था कि देखिए महिलाएं जब तक एकजुट नहीं होती तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि महिलाओं का एक तरह से अधिकार मिलेगा। बहुत सारी पीड़ित औरतें आती हैं हमारे पास, तो हम सब महिलाओं को इकट्ठा की, फिर वो आती हैं तो हम उन्हें समझाते हैं कि जैसे अपना अपना दर्द लेके आओगी तुम, तो अकेले अकेले कुछ होने वाला नहीं है, तो अपने नीचे 10 महिलाएं जरूर जोड़ो।
We traveled further into the countryside to get a look at the kind of cases that Sampat and the Gulabi Gang face on a regular basis. In the extremely poor village of Raleigh Kalampur, we met the mother of a victim who was brutally raped by a 42-year-old neighbor. The victim was just 12 years old.
इन्हें आइतवार रही तो वो दिन छुट्टी रही, बिटिया यह जो खेत है तो के पाछे से आपा दबा कर उसके साथ बेइज्जती का मतलब गलत काम किया, उसका इतना सारा खून निकला, बिटिया बेहोश हो चुकी, बिटिया लेके सुधरने की तो हुई आत्मा हत्या कर ले तो बिटिया पर।
These villages are so small that many residents know not only the victims, but the rapists as well. The crimes go unpunished and the victims are shamed into silence.
हाँ पहले खूब तंदुरुस्ती रही, ये कहीं एक ठकाती है, कहीं परी रहती बुखारे रही छूटती है, कहीं पेट के दर्द में रही आओ थी। मैं मैं वहाँ तक जा पहुँचा कार कि मैं अब तक देख चुकी हूँ दरोगा को सबका, दरोगा एक भी नहीं सुना। कहा हम जाते हैं जब ये दिन मैं यह सोच रही दीदी कि मैं लखनऊ जाऊँ और जहाँ हमारे बड़ा अधिकारी बाइट होकर हुआ तो वही के सामने आत्महत्या कर लो यहू के अपनी इतनी मुद्दुक आत्मा हो गई।
Since the man accused of the crime had not been prosecuted, we wanted to meet the police who were ignoring the matter. At the local station, we saw what the victim's family was up against.
और वो लड़की की आज हमने हालत देखी है, अब ये केस मैं ज्यादा उछाल दूंगी।
अपने ये पुलिस का केस थोड़ा है, पुलिस
फिर क्या कर केस?
अरे मेरी बात समझिए ना, जब उसके
पुलिस कुछ नहीं पहुंचाया अभी तक, कितने दिन हो गए अभी कुछ नहीं हो रहा।
महीना हो गया। अरे नेताजी पुलिस का काहे दोष दे रही?
और कहीं दोष दे।
In India, it is common knowledge that many police officers are corrupt. A survey by Transparency International found that of Indian citizens that came in contact with the police, 62% admitted to paying them a bribe.
What is your opinion on all the corruption that takes place? For example, the bribery that happens with the witnesses, the fact that the doctors are lying. What is your take on all this?
After the police's outright refusal to even acknowledge any of our questions, we went to speak to a superior district superintendent. And while he did speak to us, the answers he gave were even more dismaying.
भारत में तो औरतें कभी परेशान थी ही नहीं। जो व्यक्ति अपने कर्तव्य का भान जिसको है वो परेशान नहीं हो सकता।
What's your answer then to all of the recent cases that have been happening against women?
अरे भाई हम माता के रूप में
माता मानने वाले माता मान रहे हैं, और जो आज खलनायक है भाई तब भी तो राक्षस रहे, और वही राक्षस आज भी पैदा है, तो राक्षसों ने ये सब करते हैं।
Often in these villages, the offender's family pay off the police, who in turn not only dissuade the girls' families from pursuing the case, but also offer them a small portion of their own bribe to stay quiet. We spoke to a couple who suspect their daughter's in-laws of murdering her after she had given birth to a child. Though their daughter's body is missing, the couple can't even get the local police to file a report, as they have been threatened by the accused and offered bribes by the authorities.
तो उन लोग कहा कि मार डाला है, जो दिखाई तो करो तुम, जो अगर ज्यादा कानून के चक्कर में पड़ोगे तो तुमको भी मार।
सीओ का कह रहा है बबेरू,
तो सीओ कहा वो अपना समझौता कर लियो और नहीं तुम भी अंत में जहल जाओ है तो फिर समझ लियो जो देते हो तो ले लियो 10-25
अच्छा 10-25 हजार रुपया ले लियो नहीं तो फिर तुम जेल जाओगे। तुम बैठो चुपचाप, तुम्हारी लड़ाई हम लड़ेंगे।
When we try to follow up on this crime, we were met with the seemingly standard operating procedure of the police, which is to not even say a word.
कौन सिपाही का पता है यहाँ एक घटना हुई थी?
कौन घटना?
यहाँ नहीं रहते हो क्या?
आता हूँ।
ले इनको कुछ पता नहीं।
No one's following this up, but I want to know what you think of this. He's not gonna speak.
The more the police ignored us, the more we understood the decision of female victims to succumb to silence.
उनकी बिटिया मारी गई। हाँ, वो सिंहपुर वाला। ये कहे मैं थाने गया हूँ, तो मेरी सुनी नहीं गई। या तो मैं दूसरी बनवा ले।
दूसरी बनवा ले।
दूसरी बनवा ले।
जिसको लिखाना उसका मुकदमा ले आओ, लिख दिया जाएगा मुकदमा लिखने में क्या है नहीं।
With little protection from police, there's no other option but to form their own group to support victims and try to prevent future crimes. Sampat says there are presently over 100,000 members of the Gulabi gang. The rise of social movements like this has caught the attention of psychologists like Dr. Pulkit Sharma, who is studying the issue of rape in India.
Would a movement like the Pink Sari Revolution be beneficial?
Yeah, in the initial stage, men are not really, attuned to see women as strong. But in the longer run, it will definitely decrease crime rates because no one wants to fight a very powerful victim.
She not only groups women together for strength in numbers, but teaches them to defend themselves.
इतनी धुनाई करो कि पुलिस वालन का समझ में आ जाए। औरतों को सबको सिखाया जाता है।
Various political and social movements around the world, they have happened when the oppressed people have got together and have expressed their voice consistently. You keep on doing it and you see a change happening.
Hopefully, moving forward, groups like the Gulabi gang will affect the change that's needed in India. We witnessed the sign of this firsthand when the mother of the 12-year-old rape victim, who only days earlier was contemplating suicide, had now, because of the Gulabi gang, decided to fight back.
आज अदालत का सत्ता पुलिस की सुन नहीं रही है। मैं 4 दफा पैर पर यहीं पुलिस का। नहीं, अब देख अब तुम्हारे साथ जुड़ा थियो, का करत थियो, का नहीं करत थियो।
तो अधिकारी गुंडा है। हम तुम्हारे साथ हैं। नहीं, होश में आओ। वो सरकार निकम्मी है।
कहती हैं कि गुलाबी गैंग कचरा साफ करो।
हम तुम्हारे साथ हैं।
When the first atomic weapons were used in World War II, the long-term health risks of radiation exposure were largely unknown. Then, during the Cold War, as the US and Soviet Union tested larger and larger warheads, they studied the after effects more closely. The Soviet Union, in some cases, tested theirs over a populated region of Kazakhstan known as the Polygon. Today, this area of Kazakhstan is still experiencing continuing health problems traditionally associated with the exposure to radiation. In fact, the problem is so severe that some doctors in the region have proposed the radical idea of a genetic passport to identify the people who are affected in an effort to prevent these problems from continuing. So we sent Thomas Morton to the Polygon to see firsthand what this health crisis looks like. Now, we'd like to warn you that some of the footage in this piece is very, very graphic, and it could be disturbing.
Hi, it's Thomas. I'm in Kazakhstan at the epicenter of a Soviet nuclear explosion in a rowboat. This is where the Soviets tested all their weapons. It's called the Semipalatinsk testing polygon. They chose a place that was relatively uninhabited, but relatively uninhabited, of course, by Soviet terms means 1.6 million Kazakhs who are here. And the lasting impact isn't just holes like these, but permanent modifications to our human genome.
Жап-жарық болып екеуі бүйтіп былай зоо ете түсті аспаннан. Кемпір қосақ секілді жіп-жіңішке болып сөйтіп көрінді жоқ болып кетті.
А потом такой капусты качан. Увидите, как качан капусты.
Көрдік қой, мына жақта қап-қараңғы болып тұрады ғой. Дүниенің бәрі бүйтіп дірілдейді. Үйдегі нәрсенің бәрі.
Ауылымызға барсақ, ауылда қалған ит, мысық, қой, ешкі, бірлі жарым қалған малдың бәрі өліп қапты, қырылып. Енді бары ауылда мүгедек болған балалар көп. Балалардың бәрі де жүрегі ауырады, бас ауырады. Әйтеу ажал жоқ, жүр қазір. Әйтеу негізі қазақты қыру керек деген бір мәселе болыпты.
Это вынужденная мера. Это была система борьбы с другой системой, с американской.
Dr. Boris Gusiev is a doctor at the Semipalatinsk Radiological Institute. During the Soviet nuclear testing in the 50s, he was assigned to Dispensary Number 4, a secret KGB hospital studying the effects of the radiation on the Kazakh people.
Ведь люди, которых мы обследовали, они ж не дураки. Они слышали взрывы, они видели радиоактивные облака, они знали, что на них это выпадало, они знали, что они от этого страдают, они знают, зачем мы приезжаем к ним.
Why do you think the Soviets didn't ask these people to evacuate? Why not tell anybody that? Why didn't they do that?
Советский строй. Наплевали они на народ, наплевали с верхней полки. Что хотели, то и делали. Это была такая страна. Да, это все правильно. Ее народ не интересовал. Совершенно.
Do you think that it affects the genetics of the people who are exposed?
Несомненно.
This is the heart of the polygon, where the Soviets detonated over 450 nuclear explosions. It is a completely desolated post-apocalyptic wasteland and still thoroughly irradiated over 40 years after the last bombs went off. A radiation researcher from the nearby Kurchatov Institute guided us to the center of the blast site.
Руками ничего не трогать. Передвижение, ноги желательно не шоркать, а поднимать. Сейчас оденем бахилы, чтобы не порвать и не это самое, соответственно, наступать аккуратно. Руками ничего не берем, в рот не тянем, респираторы сейчас оденем, хорошо?
So this is the epicenter of a nuclear bomb. Everything's got kind of a unhealthy hue.
Это элемент грунта.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That's amazing. So this sort of glassy looking stuff is rocks that were basically like caramelized by the atomic blast and are still extraordinarily radioactive. These rocks that are pushing our Geiger counter even further into the red were turned into glass by the heat of the nuclear explosions. The amount of radiation they're emitting is the equivalent of getting 3 CAT scans an hour, every hour, all day long. While the nuclear bombs were all set off at the semi-uninhabited testing site, radioactive fallout from each of the blasts drifted into the fully inhabited villages surrounding it. Like this one, Kainar, a town where 1/3 of the local children have diseases related to radiation exposure. And this is the current crop of children, born 3 generations after the last nuclear tests. Dr. Akembe is the local doctor in Kainar and also its former mayor, neither of which are enviable positions given the town's general state of health.
Biz endi ol әр шаңырақта ол зардап шеккендер бар. Әр шаңырақта жоқ, мына полигонның зардап шеккен адамдар бар.
All these houses are sick houses.
Мына қайтыс болған неден кетті ғой, тамақтан, ангина болып. Ол 24 жасында кетті.
Every home we visited in Kainar housed somebody dead or dying or deformed from radiation. There were families where every single member suffered from something horrendous like birth defects or multiple simultaneous forms of cancer.
Енді онан кейін де мысалы мөлдір жолдасын осы қызданнан кейін мысалы бала көтерген жоқ. Оны енді шыны керек біз қорқамыз. Тағы да бала нетуге қандай жағдай болатын может тағы да осындай.
Туғанда мен аяғым былай тұратын, үстіп тізерлеп бақа құсап екі тіземен жүретін. бүкіл үлкен кісілердің арқасында осындай неменеге жетіп отыр. Мүмкін осы Құдайдың бір мамам айтады, мүмкін Құдайдың бір жіберіп тұрған бізге несі шығар дейді.
Is it valid to be worried about people from Kainar going to big cities and intermarrying with other people?
Ну, если даже любой человек, уезжая из Кайнара, с этого региона, он с собой унесет, конечно, генетику. С собой вести всю жизнь изменение последствий.
While the effects of the polygon in a lot of cases aren't very visible, things that lie in your bloodstream and in the genetics, and they come out and become very visible later on down the road. We're gonna go hang out with a local here named Barrick, whose mom was exposed to a lot of nasty stuff in the polygon, and he basically bears the brunt of it on his face. Barrick's skin deformity is untreatable in a place like Kazakhstan. Has left him blind and forced to live off his aging mother and whatever slim handouts he can make busking with his dombra.
Енді ол мен өзім туғаннан болды, атымнан болды ғой бұл полигон. Кім қайда?
Өкінішке орай енді осы Беріктің денсаулығы. Бәрін айтты, бірін айт, Беріктің денсаулығы.
Did the Soviet government or army ever apologize for it or try to make any amends?
Маған ешкімде кешірім сұрап, мен бір жүрген жұмысшымын ғой, ешкімнен де білмеймін, мен ондай нәрсе келіп көрген жоқ.
So what is this? This shows that you lived in the polygon? What does it say?
Полигонда болған кісілердің бәріне осындай книжке бәрімізде де бар, бізде де түгел бәрімізде де осындай книжке бар.
To keep track of the polygon's victims and their health problems, the government issued this polygon ID, which looks like a nuclear passport. But there are some in Simi who want to turn this medical ID into something closer to an actual passport, one for your DNA. While the situation with polygon sufferers seems kind of hopelessly bleak, there is one doctor in Simi who's offered a comprehensive solution. His name is Dr. Tolakhan, and what is proposed is a genetic passport by basically polygon sufferers would each be assigned this card where they do their genetic screenings, they write down the results on it, and it determines whether or not they're fit to give birth.
Я сегодня с вами здесь, на этом кладбище, не в том плане, чтобы продекларировать, а в том плане, чтобы вообще-то разбудить вас. Уже пришло время не рассуждать, а предпринимать конкретные меры. И в частности, вообще-то, внедрять и выводить генетический паспорт со всеми вытекающими из него последствиями.
Dr. Tolakhan has spent years treating the victims of the polygon in Simi and has been fighting for his proposed genetic passport since losing his wife to a polygon-related illness. He himself is from a village in the polygon and has suffered from both lung and blood cancers he attributes to the long-term effects of radiation. He also lost his son at age 35, again due to the polygon.
Здесь хорошо, я не успел. Это было в 89 году, где в основном шла и идет молодежь. Это второе, третье поколение после начала ядерных испытаний на Сепальском ядерном полигоне. Сейчас мы это увидим. Родового принципа, клонного принципа захоронений. В анатомическом музее местного медицинского университета. Я вас привел сюда только с одной целью. Не для того, чтобы напугать, не напугать, а чтобы показать возможные риски и последствия радиационного воздействия на генетику человека. Это все собрано, местный материал отсюда, и уже когда функционировал полигон. Грыжа спинного мозга, циклоп одноглазый, недоразвитие, значит, костной системы, отсутствие вообще как такового мозга. Есть такие вещи. И вот задача генетического паспорта – провести профилактику и определиться, задолго до этого высока ли вероятность рождения вот таких монстров или хоббитов. И есть ли необходимость. Но это не накануне родов, вы поняли, да? А начиная с 3-5-летнего возраста и до совершеннолетия. За это время что-то должны решить, стоит или не стоит, лечить, не лечить, коррегировать или не коррегировать. И именно внедрение генетического паспорта в дети раннего возраста позволит исключить от подобные казусы.
Does that not scare people, that it could be misused or that it could be used to force people not to marry?
Если вы считаете, что я что-то собрался всех Ромео и Джульетту уничтожить. Или Лейлу Меджунову вообще-то всех вычеркнуть. Нет, они будут, если они захотели. Они, конечно, будут. Захотели жениться, все. Но они осознанно, зная о последствиях.
At this point, I can't help but feel that what Dr. Tolikon's proposing sounds suspiciously close to old eugenics theory, or just plain old mad science, especially in the context of a room full of jarred fetuses. The next place he took me, however, put the true scope of the genetic crisis in full perspective.
Мы сейчас с вами находимся в местном доме ребенка, свидетели, от кого родители отказались. Вы сейчас посмотрите возможные последствия и вероятные риски от воздействия радиации на генетический аппарат человека.
How many kids on average are abandoned here?
На сегодня 72. А в 2013 году за 9 месяцев 49 детей.
What's wrong with each of these guys?
Вот, сами видите, конечности какие дисплазированные, да? Глаза, лобная доля какая большая. Вот это все в совокупности дает синдром Аперта. Наша Диночка, и скоро будет 4 годика, врожденная гидроцефалия, сами видите, что голова большая, больше, чем в норме. Неоперабельная. От здоровой молодой матери ребенок.
Why do the parents give these children up? Why aren't they taking care of them themselves?
Мне кажется, в первую очередь, это страх. Страх от того, что вот необычного ребенка увидеть, да, вот. Второе – стыд от того, что у соседа ребенок нормальный, а у нее ненормальный ребенок.
What's it like for them? Are these kids in pain, or are they just kind of in their own world?
Они ощущают, что вокруг них есть люди.
Right.
Ощущают, потому что я захожу, он знает мой голос, она знает мой голос, сразу же начинает искать, где что. Если Бог дал им жизнь, они хотят хоть как-то, там 4 года, 5 лет они проживут.
These are all the after effects from radioactive testing 60 years ago?
Безусловно, безусловно. Можно было откоррегировать, нивелировать и не допустить. Все, кто пострадал в ситуации ядерных испытаний, имеют право на бесплатный медико-генетический паспорт. Чтобы такие, по крайней мере, рождалось как можно меньше. И причем, чем больше дальше поколение, тем больше будет проявлений. Одно из двух. Или поколение растущее должно нивелировать эти вещи, правильно? Или они усугубятся. Вот он мой сын. Хотя вот сейчас, вот в этой ситуации, сейчас думаю, сказали бы сейчас, отдай полжизни за его, я поддал бы.
If there had been genetic passports when you met your wife, would you not still have married her?
Скорее всего, нет. Вот сейчас, я говорю, сейчас, вот видя и знаем, чем это чревато, чем-то завершилось бы. Я думаю, я был бы прав.